a thumbs up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our special meeting of the Birchwood City Council. I call this meeting to order. Our first item of business is to approve the agenda. We have one item on it, which is discussion of Tighe-Schmitz project and discussion of steps going forward. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Justin will move.
Second?
Kathy?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Agenda is approved. And welcome to all of our visitors, and we'll love to hear from any and all of you. First, I'd like to ask Justin to kind of set the table for us as to why we're having this special meeting.
Yeah, so this came out of our collaboration with Washington Conservation District, and in particular, the Parks Committee's wonderful work on this. I see we have some of our wonderful Parks Committee here with us, so I appreciate that. Basically, what we have here is a couple of projects that will help some of the runoff and help with some of the drainage issues down at Tighe-Schmitz. And what we're doing here is Lori's going to walk us through what these are, and we have an opportunity to apply for a grant to have most of this paid for, basically, is what it sounds like. So we have to do a 10% match. It sounds like, and Lori, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the total project cost would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000, but we would get most of that through grant funding, so we'd have to come up with about $8,000. We don't have to approve the project right now. We are just approving, authorizing Lori to go in front of the board and ask for the grant, basically, which is tomorrow, I think. So that's why we're having this as a special meeting, is we need to quick authorize her to do that. And she's going to tell us more about the project.
Yes, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All
Yes.
right, so I'm with the Washington Conservation District. My name's Lori Tella. I've been there for a couple years. My job is to run around the county and try and find fun projects to work on that will improve water quality, soil health, all of that good stuff. We do free site visits, no-cost site visits that are funded in part from the county, and then they're also funded through the different watershed partners. So this started with Mary Sue inviting me out to see the park. And so we walked the park. I think it was more of an interest in why is this flooding and why is this going to be so soggy all the time. No one can really use the sports field. So we walked it, we came up with a bunch of ideas. We had the whole Parks Committee out there trying to think about native plantings and ball fields and community gardens and whatever else we could come up with. From there, we kind of engaged the community to see what they were open to. So we had like a community forum here, and people came and we did stickers on the walls and stuff to see what people might like to see out of that park and understand that perspective. From there, I had stumbled upon a study that was done in 2017 by the Washington Conservation District that actually looked at every lake in Birchwood Village and prioritized projects. And this has actually made it into the 2040 comp plan that you guys have. So I found it in there, and that's what this spreadsheet, the last page of the packet you got is basically really what it's all about. So this one is going to summarize every project that was in the report for the most part, and it ranks them and gives you the funding and gives you the maintenance cost. Granted, 2017, a different time period. Let's add some padding in on those numbers. During this time, like a bit of the workflow, really I'm just trying to get a better, part of the workflow is to do some modeling to see exactly how much stormwater is coming off of these project areas, and then decide, which ones rank. And so based on this analysis, we actually have a list of what projects are the most cost effective that will benefit the water quality the best. And there's like 30 of them. So you guys, you have plenty to choose from. So that was fun that this was actually at the park. So we have, this is the park for everybody's reference. There's the ice rink that everybody likes, that's probably the most identifiable. The other areas tend to be underutilized. There's a wetland that goes across the back. It connects to Hall's Marsh. There's a couple, as you go through, you'll see a lot of clogged up storm drains. You'll see places where the concrete just isn't really functioning how it should, and there's a lot of different pipes and overflows and different opportunities through here to capture and treat stormwater. So I'll be talking about these labeled locations. There's infiltration basin opportunities. So infiltration basins, filtration basins, and rain gardens, they all typically use plants to help filter the water. So as that junk comes through, the stormwater is just going to take a moment to let it slow down, settle out, and then go on to the lake. Because honestly, the soils here aren't going to be really infiltrating, so they're more of a let's clean it, slow it down, let all that sediment fall out. So that's where we're at, founding a bunch of projects for you guys. This spreadsheet is basically what I was telling you. It's all summarized here. Let's just hop down there. So this is each project, and it has in here the first line is the name of the project. For example, increased street sweeping. It's got a reduction of 2.7 pounds of phosphorus, 1,209 of suspended solids. The cost is $784 to go run the street sweeper another time. You know, so that's an example project. It's got maintenance costs, so $130. So that's kind of the example of where we went through and we just looked at all these different projects. We've got some costs. We know we need to go back in and up them and so we have the basic designs done. Once we pick which ones we want to push forward, we can do phase 2, maybe 50% design, and really dig into what we're doing. So those are some cool possibilities, and I'll kind of go up. This is the one that I'd like to talk about. So you can just see the corner of the ice rink there on the right side. And so what's shaded is basically the area of water that's directed to these different practices. So you can see a couple dots like 22 and 5. So that's accepting water from that neighborhood. And so we would be looking to capture and treat those areas. And the blue boxes just kind of outline the costs again. So the most important thing, I suppose, about all of this is just knowing that it's preliminary and it's just some ideas that we want. I actually had a chance to run out with Marcus, with the engineer here, and we scoped out the different areas and came up with even some different ideas than were initially on here. So there's a lot of flexibility, nothing's in stone. We just want to start moving forward. We have, I guess the next item on the agenda would be nice to know where we are. Or if you guys have any immediate questions about this kind of overview without me having to dive into every project. Do you want more information on the projects?
It would be nice to kind of hear maybe a little bit more detail about the ones that you thought were the most feasible.
Sure, yeah. So the most feasible area A is an infiltration basin, kind of right there at the top where there's an overflow to Privy Lake kind of is connected right there. There's a main stormwater pipe. And so that was one area that we thought we could do kind of a wet pond through there. Area B, there's actually a big soggy spot there where the ice rink flows and overflows, and that area is just really filled with water. Easy place to throw in some plants, get some filtration. There's already like a pipe that goes under an old trail there. C is probably the highest priority based on our Parks Committee evaluation and initial assessment. It just really goes straight down to the beach there. So is that Delwood Beach? Does that sound right? Mm-hmm. So Delwood Beach has a little bit of there's an outfall that just shoots water right through some plants and then into the lake. And we could see sediment depositing there. We could see some real erosion. Although there are some plants there, it could definitely be enhanced. It could be integrated into a really cool space amenity if we kind of thought it through. And then there's some areas, but I would say each one of these areas, like Area C, is really just off the side of the road. And it's not very noticeable. It doesn't seem like it's on anybody's property. It'll just accept the water in a small ditch and then like a depression, I should say, and then overflow to the lake. So I don't know, this one just seems like a really good project given its location and it's existing topography, and we really think we could work with that one. Right across from it, basically at that parking area, D, there's an inlet that's just clogged up. That's that bottom picture. I don't know how much I can zoom in. But it's basically just a clogged up drain. And so that, I mean, if anyone's open to it, we could knock out some pavement there or go into the grass a little bit, and we could create a basin and have that be like a riser, and then it would overflow after it's had a chance to settle. And that one is actually just treating water that's not even in this study, but it is obviously a benefit, I believe, to you guys. So that's where we're at. We're just kind of looking through these. Did you have anything you wanted to add about our chomping around? Okay.
Okay. Does anyone on the council have some questions for Lori?
So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you have a whole list of projects, not just in Tighe-Schmitz, but in other areas as well listed. Do you have any projects proposed for the runoff that comes down Highway 120?
We don't. So right now, I feel like this is a great time to really, you guys can direct the projects for sure. Like, so anything that's city council has every ability to rise projects forward. The reason this got moved forward is just because of the involvement and interest. We're directed by the citizens, and rarely do we go out and pick the projects. It's just.
Would it be better maybe to, because I think I might be interested in that, but I think would that be better just to keep separate from maybe this tonight?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. Let's have like a planning
this looks like
meeting
it's
about
like shovel, just about, maybe not shovel ready, but vote ready, and I don't want to digress too much here, but okay.
Yeah, so the idea is you have this list, and even though there's this grant that's coming up, it doesn't mean we're gonna get it. There's always more funding available. So once we just kind of pick projects and move forward, it just starts snowballing then. So we just need to identify what we want to move on.
Okay.
Just gonna look at. So we identified some projects. Now I can talk about the grant if anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be great.
Okay, so the grant, I just, there's one I sent out kind of the summary, but it's called Watershed-Based Implementation Funding. It's offered through the Board of Soil and Water Resources. Let's see, I have a handout. So it looks like this. If you follow the link, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about the policy. But what it is basically is all of the metro areas identify projects, come together, and then try and figure out how they're going to spend it. So a project has to be $50,000 to be pitched. There's $300,000 to divvy up. Everyone kind of presents a project or two. They divvy it up. They really look at the water quality benefit. So it has to have that documented amount, and it has to show up in a plan, and it has to have been prioritized and identified. And so the fact that we had all of these three things, that they're in your plan, they're in a study, and they have community interest, is why it kind of rose to the top. So we would love to bring it forward to the committee. They are basically, this is just a throw your hat in the ring type of thing. We just say hey, this is what we're thinking. Does the partners want to move forward? Obviously they've got to wait. I think there's other projects that are really great too. So they're just gonna weigh that. But the way this funding opportunity works is it requires 10% match. All you have to do is one of these projects that's going to benefit and go above and beyond what's required for your permits. It's got to be something that is going to be maintainable. And I think that is the number one thing for this meeting and this council, is just to really notice the maintenance cost on this. We can get this funded. We can come in with 80,000. We could come in with another 10 for the match from Rice Creek Watershed District. I don't even know if there'd be any funds from you guys required, but what is important is to understand that it's a 10-year process. And this is just like any other stormwater BMP. And so the city would have to be prepared to have a maintenance in place. And so the maintenance piece is something I can give you an operations and maintenance plan. We can work with your city staff to do some trainings. We actually have the ability to contract out our maintenance department to come out, and it's Rice Creek Watershed District has volunteer events, and so they can come out and do annual hosting, and then they do the weeding of the rain gardens. So there's a lot of opportunities, but it's just exploring those. And if you do want to move forward with projects, that's what we heard from the community too. They said, we want maintenance for this park. So, you know, it's great, great, great. You want to turn it all into a prairie, but you know, we just want to make sure that those maintenance costs long-term are integrated. So that's where.
Lori, is the maintenance going to be, do we need to budget for that, or can that come out of grant monies?
So that's a 10-year kind of
Right.
maintenance.
Right.
And so each one kind of has a ballpark, you know, $500 a month or a year, sorry, annual. But yeah, that is not part of the grant.
Okay.
And so it's possible we could get funds for it, but that would be something that, like I was mentioning, we'd be looking at. That would be probably the most ongoing commitment from the city, would be that piece.
So when you say a 10-year maintenance, do you mean that Birchwood commits to maintaining what was built or constructed for 10 years, and then after that 10 years, there's no obligation anymore?
That's true, yep. So most of these practices are just to be good fiscal, responsible, like users of public funds. They just really want to make sure that someone doesn't just dig it up the next year.
Mhm.
But 10 years is a long time for things to change, and at that point, they could be revamped or removed or whatever.
What are the odds of receiving the grant? Do they get tons of applicants?
You guys are sitting really good. There's not a lot of places that have projects identified in their comp plan, honestly. So that have a parks committee that's sitting there ready to go and
So-
who are moving things
So
forward.
is it just a rolling
Mhm.
grant? There's no deadline and then they decide, or how's that
No,
work?
so I'll give you the process as I understand it is this group of cohorts, a bunch of different district managers and city people are all gonna talk about the funds, and then they'll kind of decide who they want to move forward, and from there we will know that we can develop the project over the winter. So I can work with the district engineer, I can work with our engineer, I can work with our restoration staffs, and we'll just try to move that project to the next level. And then July is when the city would come back in to approve a grant contract. So the contract wouldn't be now, the project final sign off would not be now. All of that would be once, once we've got something on the table, pretty concrete. And then you guys would have 2 years, so it would be a 2025, you'd sign off on the contract saying that you're gonna implement by 2027. And so you've got 2 full years to get all the kinks worked out for funding and all of that. And then it's reimbursement, so that would be something, we'd have to work out all the finances, there's contracts, agreements, operation maintenance plan, all that fun stuff. But right now it's just, are we good to kind of look?
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually started looking for the wetland piece too. We were looking at Hall's marsh enhancements, and so we're looking at doing a habitat enhanced landscape pilot project. It's a HELP grant, and so we're already kind of looking at getting that and then using that to leverage some of this work as well. So we're just out there. We get grants about every other week through our inboxes. So once we have projects, we will try and get them.
That sounds great, and thank you for the Parks Committee for, you're digging in and surfacing these opportunities and making sure that, we're ready to be able to compete, for grants. So.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you, Lori. She's been amazing, just, working with us and her whole group, and it's been amazing, and thanks to the Parks Committee as well, so.
All right. Okay. Any other questions from the council?
I am curious about the maintenance portion as far as the reporting on that. Is that one where our admin team has to send in paperwork, details, et cetera, for reporting on those 10 years? Or is that one where it's a drive-by to confirm that it still looks good, or?
I think it's low-key, but I haven't read through all the agreements, but I wouldn't expect it to be extensive.
Okay.
But yeah, those pieces can be worked out. I don't expect it to be too overwhelming at all. There is roles and responsibilities that I can bring up that would be interesting to chat about quickly. There's a similar project that we're doing so the Washington Conservation District would apply on your behalf. We could accept funds on your behalf, but any of the work would be through the city. So we don't act as a contractor. And so if you engaged with, say, someone to do the entire project for $80,000, the contract would be with the city. agreements, the bonds, like all of that surety stuff would all be you guys. We're just going to help manage the funds and distribute the funds, and that kind of discussion can be held in detail later, but just important to know that we aren't the contractor and the landowner is very much like in charge, right? And we do construction oversight, so I can come out and we can have people come out and help with that. And we can, in this also I was gonna say, we were gonna try and roll in some admin costs so that potentially we could bring in your city engineer to do some of that behind the scenes
Okay, great.
coordination that is so important, like who's closing the road down and who's bringing the cones, and yeah.
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 Marcus, do you have any comments on this?
Can you guys hear me? I don't. No, Laura and I walked through last week, and everything, I mean, looked pretty good. It looks like a good plan. I think that it's a good opportunity for the city to, especially in some of those areas around the hockey rink where it's always wet, trying to keep that more maintained.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
What do you need from us, Lori?
I really don't need much. We just didn't want to blindside you guys and say, oh, look, they're putting in a grant on our behalf without you guys being like, ooh.
Okay.
We're aware, because it's going under their city of Birchwood Village, like kind of with us being in charge. So you guys would be kind of the, the person who's leading the charge in a way as far as the implementation. I
Okay.
want to make sure you guys are interested and exciting, and we're not just, I know the Parks Committee has been.
Should we make a
Moving it
motion that
forward.
we're excited?
Yeah. Motion that we're excited.
Be happy to make a motion to authorize you to put in the grant, though.
Yeah, that's
Would you like
great.
that? Okay.
Sure.
Well,
All
I'm-
right. I mean, have a second.
I'll second Kathy.
Kathy, all right. Any further discussion, or Parks Committee, would you like to make any comments?
No, I'm just wondering about a timeline after.
Mary Sue, can you come up? Just so we can, yeah, thank you. Oh.
So Lori has this meeting tomorrow. I don't know if it's virtual or in person with the deciders.
This is Zoom, I think.
And then they're going to go away and make their choices. And I just was wondering if we'd be waiting in suspense for a month?
I don't really know. It's usually pretty quick. So I will be in touch as soon as I know if, and also don't be like disheartened if they went with a giant stream restoration or something. We can keep going. Like this is every year we get these funds,
Yeah.
and there's other grants too.
Well, it sounds like we're poised to put our best foot forward here.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this for
Yeah,
us.
thank you
Yeah.
so much.
This is great.
All right, well, any other discussion, or we can call the question? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Please proceed.
Happy to do so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you, yeah. All right. Alan, would you like to make any comments since you're here?
Zach?
Teasing him that I brought this home for the Parks Committee.
Oh,
I had 5:30 on my calendar.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
All
And
right.
thank you, Lori and Marcus and the Parks Committee. And yeah, well, great. We're waiting to hear what happens.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank